I think we're live. So if you guys are all joining here, add your name to the chat. We'd like to see who's there. It's hard for us to see all the little camera icons here, but be interesting to see who you are and where you're from. Tim, you're from Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah, we don't have any water here right now. No, I'm from New Jersey, East Coast guy.
Cool.
Yeah, and actually, we don't have any water here now either. Come to think of it, one of the driest summers on record, and all our rivers are at almost record lows, which
that's crazy.
Yeah, not good. Hopefully we'll get something soon. Need it.
Yeah, we had a wetter summer than normal, so that was really good.
It's strange how patchy the weather's been. You know, some places just to our north more than enough rain. Other places nothing at all. And yeah, I was just up in Newfoundland in Atlantic salmon fishing on the Gander River, and they're like almost historic lows as well there. I think they did get some rain this week, which is really good news. But
very cool.
Yeah.
How was that? Was that fun?
It was fun. I mean, it was tough conditions because the river was so low, but interesting fishing, Atlantic salmon, and then sea run brook trout. And
oh yeah,
you know, Atlantic salmon or Atlantic salmon, it's you're hunting unicorns, and so it's always tough. But yeah, beautiful country and just awesome people. That's my first time in Newfoundland, but I'd fished with Newfoundland guides before, and they're just wonderful people. Like to have a good time, and really fun to hang out with and fish with.
Yeah, they speak their own language over there. But yeah.
Yeah, they do. Little hard to understand.
I used to work for a mining company before I switched to do this full time, and we had some newfies that worked for us. And one of the project managers, he pulled me aside. He's like, "Now listen up, Clark. I'll tell you what. If you don't bullshit me, I won't bullshit you." I'm like, all right, okay.
Yeah,
sounds good. Sounds fair.
Well, what was wild was in the camp at Gander River Outfitters. They have. During the week, there's one night they call it party night, and it's like everybody that worked in that camp played some kind of instrument. And sitting down, two guitar players, someone was sort of playing drums on the table, somebody else was playing an accordion, a couple guys were singing, and well, I think it went to about 2:00 in the morning, and then you're up at 6. Those guys were as fresh as daisies. I was like, I'm not built for this.
We're lightweights.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
A ton of fun. So when are you heading south to Argentina?
We go October 15th. So
okay,
through the 22nd, we're gonna go with the intentions of making a full video with. We're bringing Brig, and his airfare only costs about half as much because he only takes up half a seat. But he's gonna go down with us, and he's gonna bring all the camera gear. So it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be really fun. We're excited to get down there. I've never fished for golden Dorado.
Oh, it is. I mean, last April. Actually, yeah, it was April. This past April for me was first time, on the Paraná, the big river, as well as up in the Iberá, the marsh. And I have a couple just little short video pieces I'll show folks
cool.
I shot while I was there. And both places, they're so different, but both are just like magical places. You will have time of your life. Are you there for a week, 10 days? What are you going for?
Yeah, we're gonna do a week. Usually we spend an extra day going in and out in Buenos Aires, but I think we're gonna be able to go straight through because there's enough time in between the flights to get where we're going. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it is quite the trip, Cheech. It's um
You loved it.
yeah, I loved it.
well, yeah, I mean,
But you know, very very different than a trout fishing trip. Really, to me, much more like saltwater fly fishing or real close to muskie fishing, more than
yeah.
any. And you know, they're big, nasty, predatory fish, and you can't expect to catch a dozen in a day. I'm sure it happens at times, but yeah, you got to work for them. You can kind of see it in the video that I've got. Kind of nuts, and the flies that we're gonna tie tonight. They're big flies, and kind of like the bigger the better, I think. And I'm not sure that I have materials that are actually big enough to tie these flies, truthfully.
Are you doing a Gamakatsu B10S like 2/0?
Yeah, 2/0, but there were flies down there. Gosh, 4/0.
Yeah.
I mean, big
Well,
bugs.
the reason I say that because like the Gamakatsu B10S 2/0 is actually as big of a gap as some of their saltwater 4/0 patterns. So
Really,
yeah, it's actually quite a large hook for. That's what I have. I actually have the Fulling Mill streamer stripper hook in 2/0 that I'm going to tie on tonight.
gotcha.
Same shape as a B10S, but yeah.
Yeah, now, gosh, I'm glad you said that, Cheech. You know, as compared to like an old Mustad, 34007 or something like that in 2/0, it's huge.
Yeah, it's really big.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you might be able to poke a fish or two. Hey, for all you guys who are just joining in, open up the chat and sign in. Tell us who you are, where you're from, if you want to. That way we can talk about it. So far, we have Canada and Germany, and only one lowly American on the list. So
Wow.
It's
yeah.
From Monahan's.
Oh, is it? Hi,
But
Scott.
we're just kind of chatting, letting people settle in before we get tying flies. So that's what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple of guys from Set who's runs the show down there at Itati Lodge, and so they can kind of lead us through some of this if we get astray in terms of pattern, or I say anything that's wildly incorrect. I'm sure that they can chime in and take care of that. But these flies, I believe anyway, particularly on the Paraná, the Big River, are to imitate large bait fish that they have down there, that are also in the marsh, for that matter. Sabalo, I believe, is what they're called, and I think they go to a couple pounds. So, a big imitation is needed to entice these golden Dorado. And as far as I understand it, some of the fish are like 16 years old, and so they've seen just about everything. They're well educated, and boy, you cannot mess up when you're fishing for them. And Cheech, I'm sure the guide's going to tell you, but the one thing you can't do is when that fish blows up on the fly is don't stop stripping. They will just turn right away. You just got to keep the fly moving. And it's, for me anyway, that's so hard to do. You watch this big hunk of yellow come out of the water, and your jaw drops and you just stop stripping, and you can't do that or they're going to turn.
Yeah, I just did a saltwater trip to Biscayne Bay. We didn't see many fish, but that was the thing, is like, if you get eaten, do not trout set, and you just keep stripping till you feel it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's the way this is. And the problem is you go for a long time, without, you'll see fish rolling maybe, but you don't have any come up on the fly. And then, I don't know how many casts you make, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, and you just one of the guides there, can't remember which one it was, said, Tim, you have one job on the boat, and that's be prepared. And it was the absolute truth. You missed a fish that I wasn't ready is not an excuse.
And as many times as you play through it in your mind, then when buck fever sets in and you see them and you're sight casting to them, it all goes to hell. Like it's tough.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I was saying earlier, there are two places that set fly fishing does in that northern part of Argentina. One is the Iberá Marsh. And to me, that's where I got to fish first. I don't know what your schedule is, but that was real nice to be able to warm up there. There are some big fish, but they're generally more and smaller fish. And so you get to kind of shake the rust off, get used to that fishery, and before you get out in the big river and really go after the monsters. So
yeah, it's casting a big rod for that many days in a row, that'll work the shoulder right out of you, you know.
Yeah. God, can I show a little video, Cheech? Just I think,
let's do it.
Yeah, got a bunch of people, and I'll kind of these are just short clips, guys. And hopefully we'll get it to play, and I'll sort of just narrate as we go along. Anyway, this is in the Iberá Marsh. It's the second largest marsh in the world, freshwater marsh in the world. The place is just incredible. To take longboat ride in and basically staying kind of right on the marsh. It's just so cool. It's so flat. Like I was saying, generally smaller fish using smaller flies. This is always a treat in the marsh. Are the caiman, and they particularly like those smaller Dorado, and you got to get them in quick and fend off the caiman. There are also capybara there, which are like giant guinea pigs, and just more for me. I'm just a kid from New Jersey, you know. It was stuff I've never seen before, but some good sized fish. They are toothy critters, absolutely will maul flies. There are also some, I can't remember the name. It sounds like piranha, and they look like piranha that will chew up any fly that you throw. Wire leaders, pretty much the norm there, just because you can see why. But
was that a pacu, Tim? The piranha type fish, the pacu, or no?
No, it's a different one that's in the marsh.
Okay.
Pira, maybe. Payara, is that it?
Could be. Palometa. Yeah. That's what Gustavo says. Palometa.
Come on, Gustavo. What is it?
Palometa.
Palometa.
Okay, yeah.
We'll take it. It's a toothy,
vicious fish. Oh, yeah.
Will bite your fingers off. Yeah.
And they're everywhere too. They are bad attitude. But in the marsh, I mean, there's some big fish up there, and you see they're all beat up from fighting each other and the caiman and everything else. But what a place. This is a place where we stopped for lunch. The gentleman's name is Omar. He's a gaucho was born on the marsh. And this little place is, I don't know, it was one of the coolest places I've ever been. And you can see how flat, just miles of marsh. And they served up. I'm going to pause on this. I love food. It was to be out there on in this marsh and to be served a meal like that was just out of this world. Really incredible. And like I said, there's something about this place. Nobody else is there. I mean, we didn't really see a soul the entire time we were there. But contrast is when you get down to Itatí Lodge, and there's a Paraná River. Big, wide river. I believe we're looking at Paraguay on the far side there, and all in boats. Super comfortable, wonderful lodge, and yeah, not living pretty large down there at Itatí. Again, the food is great, and I don't have any big Dorado pictures from there because I was unable to seal the deal when I was there. I had my shots, like I said, missed, but lunches out on the sandbars, lunches and dinners on the sandbars in the middle of the river. And yeah, again, that's lunch. Golly. Boats that really, really functional, great to fish from, both back and front casting platforms, remote controlled trolling motors, so the guides can keep you right on the best spots to fish. And yeah, super comfortable. And these are the flies, guys. You can see it's kind of a freestyle jumble, if you will. I'm sure that there's method to the madness, but yeah, all sorts of different feathers and flash and colors and just generally big flies. And so you're casting them to these rocky outcrops or trees that are down in the water, and the Dorado tend to hang on the upstream side of any structure. But because the fish are so old and so experienced, you really need to make long casts so the boat isn't spooking them. And so this is one of the guides at Itatí, Lucas, and I can tell you he's casting my fly rod. It's an 8-weight 9-foot Douglas, and he is casting the entire fly line with ease. And you don't have to do that every time, but the reason for the 8 weights is, as far as I understand it, is you're casting a lot, and anything more than that, like the fish deserve maybe a 10 weight. They're so big, but if you were casting a 10 weight all day long, you wouldn't make it. So good reel with a good drag, lots of backing, and again, big flies. But the idea is to kind of keep the weight and the wind resistance on these flies down.
Ahí conseguí una financiera de acá que le podemos transferir a la cuenta de Estados Unidos y ellos me la.
And so yeah, big flies, and seem to be the norm. Deer hair heads, wool heads. The guys down there, those are feathers from a feather duster, and maybe 11 inches long, just on the back feathers. And
that's the old just tie the hook into the feather duster trick.
Yeah, and this was a fly that I boy, it was kind of my favorite. I had a lot of shots on it, and I just was unable to get the job done. So next year I'm gonna seek revenge, Cheech.
That fly screams of like mind-altering substances in your head when you fight it. Just looking at it, like it looks like the cartoon when Tom and Jerry eat the fish off the bone and it's just the left. Yeah. Oh,
I'm not sure what that feather looked like originally, but it doesn't look good there.
Well, after that, I got my work cut out for me today, it looks like.
Yeah. Why don't we get tying though, Cheech? I think there's a decent amount of people in here. Glad they could stop in and
we won't have to take turns because we got this split camera all dialed up. So we'll just kind of go. And if you guys have any questions as we tie, feel free to put them in the chat. Any of the tying specific questions, that kind of stuff.
Why don't we try to initially anyway, Cheech, take turns? Just do
okay. Yeah.
No, go. Why don't you go first and maybe get through the tail of the fly, and then whenever you get tired or feel like handing it over, just let me know.
We'll get to the tail for sure. What I've chosen, I've got the old purple popsicle in the house to hold my 2-aught full email streamer stripper hook. Because of the way that I'm going to build the head on this Andino thinger, I chose a little bit bigger barbell eye. Typically the ones that I've seen are fairly small barbell eyes just to kind of right the hook. But I'm going to do this slider style. I do a lot of fly slider style, so this one would actually ride hook point up. Don't yell at me right now, Gustavo. I know that might not be the best, but that's how we're tying it today. So I'm just going to attach this barbell eye. And this is a brass eye. So this is a very light eye. It's not very heavy. It's just barely going to turn the hook over once this thing has a bunch of stuff in it. Can you guys see that all right?
Mhm.
If we need to zoom in, we can, but these are going to be pretty big flies. I can also go like that. All right. So on these, what colors are you going to tie yours in, Tim?
I'm kind of like, I like blue and black. They're just two of my favorite colors for flies. So that's what I went with. And I saw a few blue and black down there. So
Cool.
yeah.
I'm going to do chartreuse and black.
Whoa.
So I got this fancy like whiting, what is it? This is a whiting American, something like that. I should know that, but I can't remember exactly what it's called. I'm going to pluck 4 feathers off of this so we can do like 2 on each side, and maybe 2 fat ones and 2 thin ones. Just like that bad boy. So I'll take the fatties, and I just like to line them up, get them about where I want. And then I'm gonna peel a little bit off the stem just so it leaves the 2 little stems. When I tie in the tail to keep it nice and upright, I like to tie it over a little bit of fluff and make sure those stems stay right next to each other. So does that look fairly straight?
Yep.
And then my next section is I'm going to just move it forward a little bit. And I'll tie these in just one at a time. And this second set of tails I tie in, they're going to be a little bit longer than the first ones. So pretty simple. Tail for an Andino deceiver, right?
Yep.
Is that pretty straightforward? So the tail just has feather, and then the flash I've seen tied in a bunch of spots, but usually the flash is tied in when the bucktail's tied in up here. I don't know.
I on the flies down there, Cheech, I saw everything. You know.
Well, obviously, from the fly that you showed us, that was everything on hook. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I have a blast tying these because it's such a like a freestyle thing. You just do whatever you feel like and mix and match colors, and it's big. They're big too, so you're not fussing around with a little size 24 hook and magnifiers. But
I'm with you. I like real estate on my hooks.
Should I get to the same point?
Yeah, I'll switch my view so I can look at yours with a very critical eye.
Well, yeah. Oh gosh, flashbacks of Rosenbauer.
No, dude, I'm about twice as big as Tom Rosenbauer, so it's different. No, we were talking. We got to throw Tom Rosenbauer under the bus. Like he's super competitive. He tries to compete in everything. So we just decided, instead of having a competition, we're just going to chill. We're just going to tie flies like 2 buddies. This is how it should be. Yeah, Rosenbauer. Not everything has to be a contest. All right.
That's exactly right. Okay, so my tail is a little bit more elaborate than Cheech's is, and
fancy.
Yeah, it's kind of based on those flies with a feather duster, and I got myself a feather duster, but it just doesn't have the same kind of feathers as I saw on the flies down there. So I just went with whatever I had, and the closest that I had were these select marabou plumes, black, but they have a pretty thick stem in them. And what I don't want it to be just like wicked stiff. And so you kind of tenderize it. You can actually hear it cracking a little bit. And that just makes it way more you know, sort of pliable and loose, and add a lot of more movement to it. The other thing that I like to do, if I can find my pliers, is just kind of smash down the stem a little bit. And you can work this into after the flies. I think I've already tenderized that one. And I'm going to sort of just put them cup side in when I do that. But let me get my thread started first and get a bead on there. For doing this, I'm using gel spun thread just because I can. And you know, for the deer hair head, I really want some strength to my thread. But gel spun is so slippery, and I mean, on a slippery hook like this, and that's why I'll start with the super glue and just make sure that is not going anywhere. And I'm kind of kooky with this stuff with whether you use bead chain eyes or dumbbell eyes. And one of the tricks because I just can't stand them spinning. It really makes me nuts, pet peeve. I'll put a little dubbing on my thread, and this works almost all the time, not all the time. You can still have eyes that spin, but I'll build up a little ball like that. And then I'm going to use fairly small eyes. And we were talking with Gustavo before this call started, and he even recommended bead chain eyes just to keep everything as light as possible. I couldn't find my bead chain. So these are just small little dumbbell eyes. You want to make sure they're on there, right? But again, just to make absolutely sure that these suckers are not going to rotate around that slippery hook shank a little bit more. And I always do, I call them yoke wraps first, kind of a tug of war back and forth. And then flat wraps pulls those yoke wraps in, and I'm good to go. And they're on there. They're not going anywhere. Wind my thread all the way back. I'm kind of going to do the same thing with these marabou plumes. Tie one in, keep it as long as I possibly can. And since it's sort of flattened, ties in fairly well on the near side of the hook. And then I just take the other one, far side of the hook, strip that junk out. And again, super liberal coating of fly tire Z-Ment. These golden Dorado are monsters. and I think the more bulletproof you can make the fly, the better it is. Plus you got those toothy critters, and you don't want them to maul the flies too bad. So big, long, you can see how long the tail is. And again,
you're a madman, Tim Flagler.
Yeah, I know. Want them big. The next thing I'm going to tie in, and I apologize, this is really the whole fly is the tail. And I don't even know why I have this stuff, but this is a Coq de Leon cape. And well, I don't really even know where I got it, but it has really nice, big, long feathers with some pretty cool markings on them, which is what I really like, that speckling. And you can see they're almost as long as that marabou tail. Just going to strip a few off and kind of do exactly what Cheech just did. I'm going to put them on this side of the hook, grab a few of those fibers just to keep it flat on that side of the hook. Flip it over. Go same length if I can. I mean, this is why these flies are so much fun to tie. It's, you know, it's not nitpicky, fussy tying midge larvae and stuff like that.
I'm sure your Catskill guys there in New York would appreciate this one. Right?
Yeah, those guys are, they got a stabbing pain in their side right now. And what is Flagler doing?
In their side, this is going straight to the eyeball. Like this is right to the face. This is not subtle.
But that Coq de Leon is cool stuff. It's just got this iridescence to it. And so, yeah, I don't really remember where I got it, but I'm glad I did. Next thing that's going to go in, and then I'll turn, well, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to put in a little flash. Sorry, Cheech. I'm monopolizing the show here.
No, you need to go first on your next step so I can steal all your techniques. Just kind of like you're doing to me, you know.
I've learned my lesson. I've done enough of these things with Rosenbauer that I know the tricks.
Yeah.
And so just, you know, grizzly always looks good. Not worrying about a nice tapered body, any of that nonsense.
No need for it.
Yeah. Again, these are just vicious fish. And I don't exactly know. Well, it's kind of like with Atlantic salmon. Are the fish taking the fly just as a territorial thing? Are they actually trying to eat, you know? Anybody's guess, but I've recently seen some wild video online. I think it's happening right now, is that the golden Dorado somewhere on the Paraná are chasing bait fish, which is just wild. Looks like a bluefish blitz in salt water. All right,
Terrible.
Yeah. Last part to be tied in, and then I'll give it back to Cheech. I've got some, this is lateral scale. And I'm just gonna grab 2 of these strands. I can get just 2 out of there.
Is that the thick one, the lateral scale? It's a little bit thicker because they have it in like a mini size too.
Yeah, this is the thicker stuff. I have the package somewhere. Usually doesn't say what size it is, but
yeah, the normal.
Yeah, neat material.
It gives off so much light. Like it's insane how much light that stuff gives off.
And I use it on saltwater patterns, and have found that one strand is more than enough. It really shows up. Any more, it just kind of looks garish. And I am going to double that back. So that ain't coming out. Same thing. I got a little feather. It's kind of cattywampus there, but I'm tying it at the other end. But I really don't care. It's just the wonderful thing about these flies. Oops. All right. So flash, multicolored tail, big and long. You're up, Cheech. Sorry that took so long.
That's all right. Let me hurry and change over to my other camera.
You're not going to switch over to a more delicate thread like a 8/0 or a 10/0?
Well, I was just going to say that. Because GSP is so slick, I prefer to build most of the fly just with like normal 210 denier, and then like right now is when I'm going to switch out to GSP because I'm going to put some bucktail in there. So, and I'm using 200 denier GSP. So usually when I tie that in, I'll just leave one thread hanging, start my GSP, and then just wrap it over both of those, or the other thread, and then trim it. If you can trim it.
You could tie up your boat with that stuff.
I know, you could.
200, wow.
200 denier, yeah. This is big beefy stuff, Tim.
Gotcha.
All right, so because my fly is going to ride hook point up, I want the lighter side to be on the bottom So I will take some chartreuse bucktail, just about like that. I got a really good patch of chartreuse bucktail. My black patch isn't as good, but I'm forcing myself to work through it before I go get another one from the shop. All right, so that's going to overlap about like this. So here's a little trick that I learned when tying in bucktail, because a lot of times it's hard to cinch it down really well, is I'm going to take this bucktail and I'm going to take some super glue. I'm going to mash the super glue into the butts of it. So it just turns it into one big old glob O bucktail. And you can see that I'm skipping, I'm leaving a little bit of space between the tie-in points just because I want it to lay fairly flat like that. So, wait, that should have been on the bottom. I'm leaving it. I'm leaving the lighter colors on top and the darker colors on bottom.
Well, I was about to say it, Cheech. I think I could be totally wrong here. On this size hook with the small eyes, it actually rides kind of like you have it in the vise right now.
Yeah, I have these giant eyes though. And the way that I tie my head is going to definitely keel it like that. So
not like that. All right. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the ones that I fished down there ride with the eyes up. And so hook point down.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
And I tied a bunch like that, but my brain wouldn't let me just tie them like this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tie it in slider style. So I'm going to do the same little trick with the super glue, and I'll put that little clump right here. I always like to pre-trim my bucktail, because if I cinch that down like this black patch has a lot more of like the deer hair property. So it does want to flare, which is good. So I can wrap my thread down through that. Now that's enough super glue to stick my fingers to the vise. So I better chill out with that. All right, now I'm ready for a little bit of flash. For my flash, I've chosen just normal old pearl Flashabou. And this stuff can be like all curly and wacky. So one thing that I do is I'll moisten it. I didn't just lick it. I have a little water reservoir right by my mouth, promise.
Sure you do.
So, you know how hard it was to try to tie knots or like do anything for customers in the shop during COVID, when usually I'm like sticking stuff in my mouth and just that didn't fly. So that Flashabou, once it dries out, will flare out, but I like to keep it moist like that so it will stay out of the way while I'm tying the rest of the fly. But I just tied it in, one on one side of the hook, one on the other. And from here, we're ready to add a little bit of peacock herl. It seems like all these Andino deceivers have a little bit of peacock herl going over the top. But I am going to do that. Yeah, this is the top of the fly. So I'm going to pre-trim again. Tie that in. And then I see a lot of guys, you know, doctoring up their peacock herl. So come in here with scissors or something and just kind of put a nice curl in it. That's purely for aesthetics. Maybe I just ruined it. Did I ruin it?
Oh, yeah. That looks good.
Oh, we're looking good. Once I get the collar on this, everything's gonna lay right down. But anyway, that is where I'll probably pause and let you get up to the next step, Mr. Tim.
Super. My next step, this is again, so much of this fly is just the tail, but I'm gonna add just a little bit more sparkle and again stick with the black theme. This is Palmer chenille, and I want to be kind of sparing with it. I don't want too much bulk, and so I'm only using just a short, maybe 3-inch long piece. If I had the medium in this color in black, I'd probably use it. This is a little long for me, but what I'm going to do instead, just because there's no reason not to, I'm going to advance my thread forward quite a bit. So I'm reducing the length of this rather than tying it in back here and palmering it all the way up. And again, I probably won't even use all this piece, just a few turns, and it's going to cover up that bare hook shank. You could use bucktail here. You could use anything. This is just quick and easy and durable as well. So I'm going to get that tied in and just sweep everything back. I guess I could probably trim the length of this if I wanted to, but just 2 or 3 turns kind of to fill in that space, cover up that nasty hook shank with all the thread wraps on it. And I am going to leave just a little bit of space behind the eye for my bucktail head. Yeah, that just, kind of covers up a multitude of sins in there and adds a little bit of flash to it. So that's all I got for there. I'm going to put it back to you, Cheech, because I'm dying to see what you do with your deer hair head.
Yeah. So, and just to be clear, like I did try to tie a few of them just with the bucktail, like the original pattern where they just flare the bucktail, and I don't know, maybe my bucktail's not the greatest, but we're gonna get nerdy with this. Make sure I got all my stuff. All right. So just like Tim did, I'm actually gonna add a little bit of extra Palmer chenille-ish to the head, because I really want just minimal space behind these eyes to put deer hair. So this is like a chocolate brown color, but imagine if it were like black. This is just what I had here at the desk. So
you own a fly shop, right, Cheech? Is that you?
Yeah. That's me. Yeah, that's me. And so I'm trying to think of who I can blame this on, but
well, it looks like you've got the medium size anyway, which is what I'd rather have. But
yeah, this is the medium for sure.
Yeah, I don't own a fly shop, so
yeah. No, I did. In all fairness, I did just bring all this stuff from my house. So anyway, but again, I do own a fly shop, and at my house, I have a lot of materials. Hold on, my computer says it's dying, so I'm going to have Brig come save me. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. Well, folks, I can make finger puppets or
Take questions.
Yeah, any questions? While Cheech is getting his computer fixed, just key them in there. I'd be happy to answer them, and as best to my ability.
Cheech is going in October. And you're going
Okay, sorry.
Oh, he's back. Good.
I'm back. All right, so I'm going to make this kind of a wedge head slider. It really digs down and makes the fly wobble, kind of like a Rapala or a Rapala, depending on what part of the Midwest you're from. And I'm going to use deer belly to create this head. So I'm going to use a giant hair stacker, deer belly hair in chartreuse and black. So it'll be a two-tone head, mostly chartreuse, a little bit of black. And I'm going to get a crazy amount of deer hair. So that's how much deer hair I put up. You could make, you could like make a blanket out of this much.
400 muddlers.
Yeah. But we're not time muddlers. All right, so let's see. That'll go in there.
He just loses audio.
All right.
Oh, there he's back.
Okay, so I'm going to take this giant clump of hair and I'm going to put it about right here on the head. I want it to go almost back to the hook. When this all compacts down, it's not going to be quite that long, and it's just going to kind of create a little collar. But I'm going to pinch this all together, and I'm going to do 2 loose turns of GSP thread. And while I cinch this down, I'm going to put my thumb on top of it to create the little trough, if you will, to add the other color on top of. So if I cinch down while I'm pulling my thread forward this way and down, and my thumb on top like this, now I've got, thanks, Brig. That was Brigham, just plugging in my computer. Everybody give Brigham a round of applause.
Go, Brigham.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so top portion of the head's tied in. When I do deer hair heads like this, I only do 2 wraps to secure them. Now I'm going to switch to black. I wish you guys could see how messy this desk is.
Yeah, mine's not much better.
Do you have a Brigham to come clean it up when it's really bad?
No. I have a son that just joined the business, but he seems little interested in cleaning up my tying bench.
I used to work in HR. I could write you a job description. It works like a charm. All right, so cleaning out this next clump of black. The black clump's a little bit smaller. All right, so this time I'm just going to take that black clump and I'll lay it right on top, just like this. And I'll wiggle my thread through the chartreuse hair and back down on the other side. Again, just 2 times. So here we have the chartreuse, or the black hair on top of chartreuse. I'll put my fingers underneath the head. And when I pull on this, it's going to compact all down to like a super thick consistency.
Oh, come on now.
See that? So on the bottom, there's no hair, and that's on purpose, because if there's no hair on the bottom, this fly will always want to ride keeled properly. So that's my head. I'll wait to trim it.
I got deer hair envy, Cheech.
Why? It's not that cool.
It's pretty cool. Mine, well, you'll see.
Come on.
Oh, boy. Now, remember, folks, this is not a competition, okay?
Wait, I haven't even trimmed mine yet. For all you know, it might be terrible.
Okay, I got to get my cameras ready. It threw me. Get zoomed in here. Sorry, gang. That was just, wow. That is going to put me on the Fernet and Coke quick. Anyhow, I go a little simpler than Cheech does. One of the things that I found with bucktail, and this kind of applies to other flies as well. You know, you end up using all this stuff for clousers and deceivers and things like that. But this stuff right down here is actually kind of like, almost like belly deer hair right down by the base. And on things that are just dyed, like chartreuse and stuff like that, you get some really nice model looking hair down there. It's great for muddlers, and otherwise it just kind of goes to waste. I'm not going to use nearly as much as Cheech did. Just clean out the butts a little bit. I'm going to cut that down by a lot. So just a small clump. I'm not even going to stack this. I am going to kind of cut the butts off a little bit like that. And then as simple as this is, I'm going to start with my thread all the way back there. I'm just going to put that clump. I want those to come back about halfway down those fibers. Loose collecting wrap, a second wrap, and then I'm going to flare it and just wind my thread so it really holds it in place. I'm just going to wind my thread through there, and then I'm actually going to go back, get back to that same starting point, flip the fly over. Everything's on top there. This is where I stab my finger. I've done it about 4 times today. If I was smart, I'd put something on that super sharp hook point, but it's not that smart. Again, fairly sparse clump of bucktail. Not a lot at all. I'm really going to be jealous of the head on Cheech's fly. This is so kind of the same deal, collecting wrap, another one, and then just pull it tight. And I'm eventually going to make my way some way, somehow. Ouch. Oh.
I'm not laughing at you.
Oh, you're going to see blood in a minute, Cheech. That one hurt. I'm going to get I'm going to get this sealed off and then go get myself a Band-Aid.
A little eraser or something.
Yeah, I know. And just really to toughen it up, I'm going to two 4-turn whip finishes. I got to show you this. A friend of mine made it. It's super cool. They're originally meant for scoring bread, a pandemic thing. You know, you score the bread before you bake it. And, but wow, does it work well for a little trim in that gel spun and keeps the razor blade. Anyway,
Ooh,
yeah, pretty slick.
very cool.
Yeah. I'll show you another thing the guy invented that's super cool. Same guy. Little, yeah, CDC milling, and so doesn't spill.
Oh yeah, I got one of those with foam.
Yeah.
That's the key to getting Zap-A-Gap to last. Don't tip it over.
Don't that and store the stuff you're not using in the freezer or refrigerator. It lasts a lot longer.
That's way too responsible for me.
I know.
So is it my turn?
It is your turn.
Okay.
So you're gonna trim.
I'm gonna trim. We're gonna trim and finish. So let's wait for the camera. All right, so we got a big mess right here. The one thing about this is it kind of leaves a big naked spot right here. So I devised a way to add a little bit of bruiser blend dubbing. This stuff's really good for building streamer heads or adding bulk where needed. Just a chunk about like that. Straighten it out a bit. And from there, tie it in clump style. And I'm just tying that in around the eyes. So I'm not disturbing that hair at all. I'm just using the eyes to tie that chunk of dubbing in. Just like that. And then I'm going to take a comb and I'll brush that. So it kind of just creates a little bit of continuity with the fly. Like there's no bare spots. That's more for me than anybody else. So to finish this fly, I'm not going to whip finish. I just take my super glue, and the very last spot that the thread touched, I'll mash some down in there. I don't know what I got. Dental tools up here. All right. So now the moment of truth. Let's see if this thing really turned out. I'm going to get a brand new razor blade. The scissors are too, like this is too dense for scissors to cut. And I'm going to try to make just a wedge cut. So I'm going to come under here and I'm just going to start like this. That's my first cut. Not bad. And then I'm going to come on the sides of the eyes. And I'm not going to take off a ton of material. I just want to kind of shape it up how I want. All right, once we get to this point, I can get my scissors out and finish shaping the rest of the head. I mean, you can get real techy with this stuff, but. And then I have some butt ends. Sometimes if I have butt ends sticking out through the collar, I can just grab them with my fingers and they break a lot easier than the rest of it. Anyway, that's it. That's a really hard surface. I could even sand that with sandpaper right here if I wanted to get it to be really, really smooth. But that wedge shape really makes the fly wobble quite a bit. So, oh, you know what? I'm going to go a little bit thinner with it. That's one thing that you got to be careful of with these style of deer hair flies. It's real easy to just keep cutting to the point where you just ruin your fly. So I'll try not to do that. About like that. That's it. So at the end of the day, you got a fly that's going to be just like that. Good.
That looks awful good, Cheech.
And it doesn't add a ton of weight. So anyway, there you go. The Andino slider.
Yeah. Do I have to go?
Yeah, you have to go.
No, I think the camera broke.
Camera broke? No,
camera broke. All right. So I have a black mass of deer hair, and I'm simply going to snip it.
That's
Whoopee.
That's awesome.
Oh, that looks so cool, Tim.
Oh, it's awesome. Well, that's what Gustavo was telling us is you want a really sparse head. So because we're on the fancy interwebs, I decided to go all gaudy and stuff, but your fish is probably going to be easier to cast all day, or your fly is probably going to be easier to cast.
Yeah, but it doesn't look cool.
Yeah, it does. You got 4 pounds of marabou on that thing.
Well, true that.
Yeah. So I don't know many flies that have that.
I'm trying not to stab myself again. Yeah, so just kind of rough head. I am going to trim away. This is what you should do to squatch, Cheech, just so you can see the dog's eyes, you know?
Yeah. No, we actually were going to do it on Instagram Live.
Oh, really? That'd be awesome.
Because I got the new blunt tip scissors from Loon, so if she jerks, she's not going to poke her eye out.
Oh, okay, makes sense. So yeah, kind of really super simple and sparse there on that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I have
up nice.
Yeah, let me zoom out way out. I tied other ones. I mean, I'll let you guys see what you think, but where I added some crystal flash to the top of it, but I just kind of thought it was a little too much, and so got rid of it. But yeah. Anyway, that's it. Big long body on the fly. And
and if you wanted to simplify these flies, you could get like a dubbing brush, like one of the Renzetti dubbing brushes that like have real coarse materials, and just wrap the head out of that too.
Yeah.
But,
well, and there's there were a couple I saw that were just the wool heads too, just same thing, and then trim it down if you want to. And
sure.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how picky these fish really are with the fly. I mean, they're just, when they go after it, they really go after it. And
Well,
yeah, it's not like a little trout sipping midges off the surface and being super picky.
well, that gives me help for this or hope for this monstrosity. Maybe something will actually eat it.
Well, that was fun, Cheech.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah. I think we'll have to do that again sometime, I hope. Maybe when you get back. Then
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
tell me all about what happened. But you guys are you're making a video of it. Super
Yeah,
cool.
we'll do a cool video. Brig will be there, so the quality will be on point, and I'll
Good.
have someone to vent about, so that'll keep me sane.
Do me a favor, would you, Cheech, and that's shoot a lot of video of the food. Just
Oh, you already know. I actually was
so
just
good.
down. I was down in northern Argentina to visit a bunch of friends that I have down there, and they actually let me make the asado at night, and that was like the biggest honor that I've had in Argentina. They trusted me with their meat, and it turned out so it was awesome.
And it was good. You got the job done.
Oh yeah, yep.
I for one am not brave enough to even. I won't get near the top of it. No. Yeah, that's messing with culture.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. I'm not worthy. Any questions from anybody? Are there any
if you have questions, put them in the chat and we can tackle a few of those if you want. If not, you're just listening to Tim and I talk about Argentinian food and
fish,
proper
people,
tail length, East Coast versus West Coast.
Well, and for anybody who's watching, the set fly fishing who runs the trip to Itati Lodge and on the Iberá Marsh, I've been going down, and I know Cheech has too, other trips that they do, plus this one for a few years now, and it's just absolute first class job. So if you're interested in golden Dorado trip, but they also do trout down in more central Patagonia in Argentina, just get in touch with Set Fly Fishing and tell them you found out about it here, and they'll get you set up. Absolutely first class all the way. Can't say enough about them.
Yeah, and we're going down in October to do golden Dorado, and then like Tim said, we've been doing at least one trip per year down with the Set Fly Fishing guys, and it's just first class treatment. The question I always get is, well, why would you go to Argentina just to catch trout? And it's so much more than just a fishing trip. Like it's super cultural. You have people that treat you like family. That's why we could go anywhere literally in the world to go fish, but we always make sure that we have our set fly fishing trip down there. Super comfortable. We always feel safe when we're around those guys, except for when Gonzalo's rowing the boat. You don't want to be in with him when he forgets his net. I'll never let him live that down. But no, it's just an awesome experience to go down. We're going back down in February. We'll be down there, I think, for 20 days. We're going to do 2 trips in a row. So we're going to meet one group down there, but we're going to do the new Chochoy machine.
You are?
We're going to do that one. And then also the Spring Creek Lodge, which is the big popular one. So you guys, like Tim said, if you want to get in touch about any of those trips, you can contact Set, or since you know us, you can contact us as well, and we can get you in touch with those guys.
Yeah, and you're going for 3 weeks, 2 weeks in April.
Yeah, and I'll be down there in April into May at both at Itati and down at Spring Creek Lodge as well. And
very cool.
Yeah, just phenomenal place, phenomenal people.
Absolutely.
Can't say enough about it. Love it down there. Anyway,
right,
Cheech,
well,
that was a lot of fun. And are we going to see you at the fly fishing shows this year? Are you doing any of them or?
I think we're gonna be in Denver.
All right.
But yeah, it's crazy because like you think you have all this time to go do stuff, and holy crap, like it's just been a whirlwind of just everything going on with us. So
Yeah.
we'll try to make as many as we can. Maybe we should, like Heather says, we should do this live at a fly show. Like we should talk to one of the shows and have like a challenge or something like that live. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm actually doing it with Rosenbauer at the symposium. So that's going to be the test drive, the tying
right.
symposium here in New Jersey. Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
If I'm there, I'll make sure to heckle.
It's like Thunderdome, 2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, Cheech, thanks. That was a ton of fun. And listen, safe travels. Have a great time when you're down there. Say hello to the guides for me and Andy. And I'm really jealous. I can't wait to get back down there.
Well, you travel safe as well when you go down, and we'll have to exchange stories once we get closer to that time.
Very good. And thank you all who stopped in and watched us tie. I hope you got something out of it. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you on the water.
Thanks, guys.